You wouldn't wear a parka to the Philippines, nor would you pack Bermuda shorts going to Norway. The reason why is because context matters, and context also matters in design. Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Tirso. I did a video a while back where I turned a meme into a magazine cover and a couple posters. Jamil commented, "What is the difference?" This didn't even cross my mind to explain, but it is a wonderful question and every designer should absolutely understand this. Two things you have to understand when it comes to the approach for your designs is context and format. They are indeed different from each other, but there is some overlap. In this video, I will cover designing for context. I can't cover everything, but to start, let's talk about environment. I'll first address what I did in that other video. Here is a magazine cover, and magazine cover in huge air quotes because there aren't any cover lines, and then two posters. The easiest response to the difference between them is the approach to the design. For the magazine cover, the logo and the main subject anchor the cover, and then the content is designed around it. When it comes to the posters, there's almost completely free reign to design it however you'd like, so let's put it in context. This is a typical magazine rack, and I'll drop in the designs that I did. The most valuable real estate on a cover is the masthead logo, which is why it always sits at the top because that's the part that's visible. For the one that was in a cover style, you can see that the logo sits nicely. This was a happy accident, but the names are actually high enough to be seen as well. For the first poster, I rearranged the lockup, but truly the brand wouldn't be Variety Studio, it would just be Variety, and Studio is kind of tacked on. Also, since we're talking about prime real estate, there's this flag in the upper right. If this was truly a cover, it would probably say something like the actor's issue instead. For the other poster, it just doesn't work at all in this context because too many things are obstructed. I hope that explains why one is a magazine cover and the others are not, but posters too also have context, so let's see what that looks like. I mocked up all three of them together. From this view, nothing seems egregiously wrong, but the idea here is for context to influence our decisions, so I'll give it more context by adding some people viewing the posters. What this does for us is that it gives us a general viewing area because we should take into consideration their height. I'm gonna stop here real quick, have a look and see anything that you would change based on context. In the magazine cover option, the content sits quite high, so for them to read, they have to look up. It's not that you can't use the space, but this is content that we want the viewer to digest. I think it works better if the text on top was larger, like actors on actors, because then it becomes more scannable. We just don't want to strain anyone's neck. Because this isn't a true magazine cover, I'm gonna struggle here, so I'm gonna swap everything with an actual cover. I'm not really going to work on this. I wanted to show you the original so you can see that it works on a magazine stand. Since we want this to be a poster, it removes a lot of the constraints. We could remove the masthead logo, but then we still have a cover line, which doesn't really mean anything when you're on the street. If it's in a magazine, readers would know that there will be a feature later to explain it more. Instead of reworking this, I designed it as a poster with a completely different image of her. For the elements, the cover line now became the title and can run much larger. I gave more focus to the advertiser. Instead of a cover line, I used a pull quote. And last, I added a QR code driving people to a site. So now we have a poster that works in context. Or does it? Context isn't just to give you guidelines, it can also provide opportunities for design. Granted that this is just a random mockup that I found, the original was designed as an individual poster that I was showing to you one at a time in a video. Now we have multiple posters so we can design them as a set. Let's start by doing something like this. This poster is meant to generally promote the series, nothing too crazy. The idea was to have it be different from the rest of the posters, hence the lack of image and full colored background. If you go back to the poster that we designed, we can make the title less prominent because it's now in context with a large title in a poster next to it. I made this change. This opened up space, which gives us more flexibility to use different types of photos in the series, which I did, so here is the set. To talk about a few things going on here, the top is structured consistently, which helps frame the poster and reinforce that they're all part of the same series. They all have similar design elements that are also consistent. You'll notice I used a darker navy circle for the mechanic. This would be the poster if I followed the elements from the others exactly. But since all the color elements were on one side, I wanted the distribution to alternate. navy, light blue, and navy. It's a darker navy, but still from Ford's brand guidelines, so that's how I got there. Let me pause for a moment here. What else would you change? Looking at it now, I think the QR codes are all over the place. I'm not going to mess with that first poster because it's meant to be fairly separate from the rest. I do think that they should be standardized so it's consistent across. If you drop in our people for reference, it can live anywhere in this area, which should be comfortable to scan. So perhaps they can live in the bottom right. For the pilot, it's crashing into her feet, so it needs to move to the other side, which is fine because it's still on the same level as the others. I don't want two QR codes so close together, so I'm gonna make that cover first in the order. Since we have one with the navy circle, I'd like to alternate the navy and light blue throughout. The navy on the last cover is rather dark in that area. I can swap it with the one next to it so the circle is light blue on that cover. Last, everything is bleeding into each other, so I would prefer that the posters be put up with some space in between. Not a ton, but enough. Now, it's a poster series and it was designed for the context of the final execution. It's really hard to talk about all the different scenarios when it comes to context because everything is situational. Not just environment, but also audience effects context, format, which I'll cover in another video. Drop any comments below, check out more content, and I'll see you next time.